this little box that's supposed to line up the wire tip. So you put, I should show you in the top view. So you see I slide all the top layer first. And then I insert the bottom layer. The holes are staggered so they won't touch each other at the time when you crimp it. Try to make as less bend as possible. Trying to straighten it out. So once you get to this stage, then we want to cut the tips so that all the wires end at the same location. You can use the crimper, and there's a cut that you can use. So I line it up and just cut. Make sure you don't cut the block. So after you make the cut, you want to trim the tip of the all the wires so that it's got a sharp end. In this case, I would use a knife. Back up the block a little bit. So now I first trim the top. Make sure you use a sharp knife. So you use a knife. Just trim one side is good enough. You see, I only trim a little bit. It may expose the wire a little bit, but it's fine because I only trim one side. Clean the edges. So now you can see from the top. Some is kind of being trimmed to a little bit on one side. The same thing applies to the bottom end, the bottom wires. Hold your knife like this and trim. That makes it easier when you're trying to slide the wires into the connectors. So now, after you're trimming it, you push the block back up. To the tip. Whatever you cut, trying to reduce the amount of residue. So you just peel off some of the rubbers that hang on. hanging off the tip of the wire. So now you have the top colored wires facing you, and the connectors facing you like this as well. And you put the connectors in. You see the block would keep traveling until it hits the barrier. Okay, so once it hits the barrier, the wire will start traveling into the slot in the connector. You may want to jiggle a little bit, but not twisting or bending the wires. You can see from the back that if the wires travel far enough, all the wires supposed to travel all the way to the tip, but if it travels more than half the slot, that's sufficient too. And for the top 4 wires, there's no way you can see how far it travels from the top. So how you determine is looking at the top and see if it's touching the end of the slot.
Excuse me. Excusez-moi.
So looking at this connector, it looks like from the top, you can see through the 4 wires, the 4 color wires, and the 4 white wires. So now you can crimp it. The string relief is not on the connector. It's actually on the tail of the connector. So you force it down and wrap around the insulation. And is this piece supposed to have contact with the foil and also the drain wire.